So how do you optimize WordPress? Now, the first thing that you should do is install a couple of plugins to get the website going in the right direction. Now, my website, I logged in and I don't have that much going on my website. It's a very simple blog, so which most websites are pretty simple unless you're doing something crazy, but let's just go over the basics. Now, you're going to have your anti-spam software, which is automatically installed when you install WordPress, so just get that set up. Then the next one that you're going to have to basically put some time into is just getting your analytics set up, which is really more just getting your Google Analytics set up so you can track your website. This really has nothing to do with optimizing WordPress. It's just getting Google Analytics set up so you can track your traffic and everything that has to do with that. For optimizing, I would definitely get the Google XML Sitemaps plugin. You can get the one done by Arne Branchhold. Hopefully I said that name right. And this is the one that I use, and what this does is it creates your sitemap. You don't have to worry about it. Every time you create a new page on a website, it updates the sitemap, and then what you do is you can also go to Google Webmaster Tools, set up your account there. That'll be in a separate video, and go into Google Webmaster Tools and then upload your sitemap to Google. And just make sure, the best thing about doing that is it tells you if there's any errors with the sitemap. So that always helps, because you just never know if everything is going on right in the back of your website. And because if there is something going on that's wrong, then the last thing you want to do is not know about it. So setting up the sitemap plugin will really help. I use the Platinum SEO Pack plugin. This plugin actually does a lot of the work for you. So if I go into the settings, so Platinum SEO, I actually leave everything the same. Of when you install it, whatever's default, I leave that. But the only thing I suggest doing is the home title. Make sure the title of your home page is there. Always make sure the automatic 301 redirect, which it should be, is checked off. That's important because 301 redirect, what that does is it helps Google know that if you change the URL of a web page, the last thing you want to do is change the URL of a web page, because once you do that to Google, that's a brand new web page. So when the 301 is set, what WordPress will do is it automatically takes the old web page and makes a new one. Now you may say to yourself, wow, how many times am I ever going to change the URL of a web page? But you also got to think, in WordPress or most sites, number one, it could happen very easily. You change things around the site, and maybe you want to change the category, or maybe you want to put a category in. So if the URL is not exactly the same and you make one little change to it just by changing one letter, that is a new URL. So 301 redirect is the most important part of this plugin, if you ask me, because some plugins just don't have that built in. It's automatically done for you. So again, the great thing about WordPress is a lot of things happen automatically that you can put into place. And a lot of people come to me with websites that were built by a programmer, not on any content management system, or maybe it's just an HTML site, and you want to do all these changes, but now everything has to manually be done. So that's the last thing that you want to do, is have to worry about doing things manually. And everything else here, the canonical links or canonical URLs are very important on the websites today. It'll help rewrite your titles, and then all of this just has to do with how the pages, the title on the pages are formatted, and go into the bottom. Pretty much, unless you see something very specific that you want to change here, you can leave it the same. So this plugin is one that I use, which is very important. The robots meta, what this does, I'll go into the settings, is this plugin will help you block Google from indexing certain pages. So you have a robots.txt, which is basically like a notepad file. So it's a robot.txt file, and what that does is when Google crawls your website, it's taking that file and it reads it first. So you can tell Google what you want them to crawl. So if you don't want Google to crawl your login page, or maybe your images folder, you can tell them that you don't want to do that. But for standard WordPress, when you set up a site or you move to WordPress, or even if you already have a WordPress site, I would install this plugin and I would check off everything that's here that's checked off. So I'll slowly scroll down and you can see everything's checked off here. And these are things that you do not want Google to index. Now, you may be asking yourself, why don't you want Google to index this stuff? A lot of this has to do with duplicate content. So the only other thing down here is to check this off, the login and registration links. So let me just scroll back up here for you. And I'm just doing it slow so you can actually pause the video if you needed to. But now, why would you want to not index or have Google? Why do you want to block Google from seeing your tag archives or your category archives or any of these archives or any of this stuff? The reason why is of duplicate content. Duplicate content is when there's multiple web pages on your website that are pretty much the same thing. Now, when WordPress creates an author archive or your date-based archives, what they're doing is they're creating a brand new web page on your website, but it's the exact same thing of the original page. So let's just say you create a blog post talking about how to grow roses, and your URL is, flowers.com/how-to-grow-roses. Well, what WordPress is going to do is going to say how to get rid of stuff / the author name, how to get rid of roses, or the date-based archive is going to put a date on it. So it's going to create all these separate web pages that are all exactly the same, and that creates duplicate content. So if you're not blocking Google from seeing this stuff, you're going to just hurt yourself when it comes to SEO. So that's pretty much the very basics of WordPress and just getting some quick optimization done. Of course, you can set up some WordPress stats. WordTwit is really just when you create a new web page on your site, it'll automatically tweet it for you on Twitter. So there's a lot more you can do. I don't really do that much on this site, but there's certainly a lot more that you can do with WordPress, which we can always discuss, or you can watch some other videos that I make specifically on WordPress, but this is definitely the absolute basics that you want to do. All right, have a good one.